when I read this point, I was thinking what we're really looking for is north, in the sense that what do you think about you're always looking to sort of get better? Or I'll give you an example. When I was at JB working in retail, it was really really fun for a while, and then the more you sort of, I don't know if this is a similar experience, but the more you sort of get into something and it becomes mundane and you're not really learning anything new, you kind of feel like you're slowly
stagnating.
Not eroding, that's a bit far, but you just don't feel like you've got that. Yeah, you don't feel like you have that inner energy that you're moving forward, that sort of thing. And when I read that, moving north, that's kind of what I was thinking, in the sense that you always want to be like in that slightly uncomfortable zone where you're clutching at things you haven't thought about before, or new sort of skills, or that's where you feel
that was so well
pretty
said.
alive.
To answer the first part of your question, like, what do you think about wanting to improve? I'm in a bind because I know that I always want to improve, but it's not like one very niche, specific, clear line point. Like, I want to get really better at X, Y, Z in Z, Y, X scenario. It's very much like overall big, and I think that relates perfectly. I think you feel it as a whole body, whole life.
Yeah.
Force. You talked about, you can really listen to that feeling you were talking about. I felt that time and time again. A lot of people do. And there's a quote from Walt Disney, I'll paraphrase because I don't know it exactly, but he said something to the effect of, I or we at Disney don't really like kind of repeating things and staying in the same spot. We're always looking for like, what's next? Like, we just keep moving forward, and what else? All right, we've done that now. What's next? Scott talks about that a lot. There's a story Scott's mum told him about when he was young, that I think it was like the first day of kindergarten or something, and they did drawing or whatever it was. And then he comes back the next day and they wanted to do drawing again, but Scott was like, I've already done that. Like, what's next? And I'd say that's still his attitude today. And it's a very it's a very constant student mindset, right? It's just proactive. Like, it's
100%.
I'm not trying to get to this one place. There's always a new step to take. Once I've in other words, very thinking about the 1,000 doors. Now that I've familiarized myself in this room, and this is the experience you're talking about, I've seen everything in this room. Therefore, there's nothing new and exciting here. And again, it's this posture of adventure and journey, not plan and get to the final destination. And that's why it's this state of appreciating where you're at. Yep, this is a great place to be. There's great people here. So say JB, there's great people here. I've learned a lot here. I haven't just been sitting here thinking, damn, I can't wait till I do this. I just get to go on. But at the same time, all right, now this room is familiar. So at some point, I'm going to get over that, and it's time to open the next door. And you can really listen to that feeling. That is the best way, I think, to make decisions. And it is described as making decisions very intuitively, because you're very much in touch with that reality that the natural adventure, to be an adventure, must be opening new doors. It cannot be stagnant. It cannot be static. But at the same time, it's not the paradox that it's not rushing, and it's not, I'm just trying to get outcome. I just got to get through there so I can get there. It's appreciating the JB story is perfect. For a lot of people, that would be a rudimentary part-time job. For you, it was a massive development and learning opportunity. So you've squeezed the lemon. You really squeezed the lemon there. You've really made the most of it and gotten every drop you could. And then you're like, all right, and now I'm done. Now what's next? Not in a hustle way, not in that's the energy which it should be. And that's what it should feel like.
Absolutely. I remember that it's not about, it's a very personal thing. I remember going into work when I first started, because I used to work at a cafe, and then so I came from a place where I wasn't very outgoing. I've spoken to you about this before, Joe, and there's so much room for growth. And I remember just getting better at just talking to people and sort of getting those basic sales skills developed. That was extremely exciting, and I felt really alive for a long time. And then I guess, yeah, just as time goes on and you become familiar, like you're describing,
I think in this
things change and you need a new challenge.
Decision making, and what mountain to climb. It's hard to make a big uninformed commitment. It's
very difficult.
Because if you don't know if you're making a 3-year commitment to something, but you have no experience about it yet, or whether you enjoy doing it or anything like that. It's same with a relationship. Just the way you don't commit to a 3-year relationship or a lifetime relationship with a random person. You need to test things out before you make long-term commitments to them. Because you don't know whether you will stagnate at some point. And how you know, Drew Riley, who has a great newsletter called Trans and an online community, says, you got to pick something that you think you can persist at when you're making a bigger decision, a bigger choice. And normally how you know what that is you've already been doing it for a long time. So I have a whole, it's never ending, right? I've writing ideas all the time. I have business ideas all the time, non-business ideas, whatever, film ideas, documentary ideas. There's always something new that runs through my bloody head, and which is good because that's like the creativity is open, it's flowing. So it's better to have that than not, for me anyway. But then it's like, well, what do you pick up and run with? Yeah, because there's so many things I could do, right? I could go any direction now. The way I do filter is that I know if I've been interested or thinking about something for a long time, that I'll probably persist with it and follow it through for a long time. Not that I need to just follow things through for the sake of it, but so like podcast, I thought about it for ages, and it always appealed to me. The concept of doing any form of podcast appealed to me. Just seems like a format that I would thrive in and enjoy, and there wouldn't be much downside to it. And so I knew that, doing the podcast is pretty safe commitment. I had to take a break for a while, which is the whole, doesn't need to be a rigid plan. Don't need to follow it through for the sake of it. Don't need to just lock it in for the sake of it. Like, I'm doing this podcast. So I stopped it for like 8 months. Now we're back. But now I know from the decision to bring it back and still do daily, I still have that past experience to know what that's like. So I really know what I'm getting into, and I know that's it's a really safe investment for me. So hopefully that's a relatable example for people. So that's why I always think, just break something down into steps. Like, go do a project, but if it's a podcast, you don't have to do it forever. Commit to 6 episodes. You don't even need to commit to releasing them yet. Just do 6. Do it with a friend. If it's a blog, write your first 6 kind of posts. And if you enjoy doing 6, you probably enjoy doing 12 or 20. So you can commit to that next. You just sort of have to commit to doing it forever. You never have to commit to doing it forever. If it's a business or working on something, like, have you worked on something like that already? Or is this just the thing you try and you're just going to give it a go for a month or 2? And like, you can apply that to any new experience. Sometimes it's harder, right? This is why almost with jobs, there's not a lot of jobs that you can just go give it a trial, like a free trial, like you do for Spotify or Netflix or something like that. Not always. A lot of times you can. A lot of times you get like a 3-month, like 6-month probation. Let's see how this goes. But whenever you can in a situation, those are good hills to climb, because you know that you don't have to commit to the whole hill. Like, maybe I would have enjoyed being a doctor. Maybe that would have been the best thing I could have done with my life. But if it takes 10 years to really get to a point where I can test that out, not a worthwhile mountain to climb for me. It's just too narrow. I would need to have been thinking about it like for a very long time and excited about it for like 12 years.